Hi. It's been a while, a little bit longer than I thought and hoped that it was going to be. That's my fault, that's on me. I guess I wanted to talk today about something that I found to be really interesting for myself. Obviously, as you guys have probably followed my channel, followed the story about the kind of ups and downs of the crashing internal, not feeling like you're getting anywhere in life, not feeling that you're succeeding anywhere in life, feeling that you're just kind of stuck. I found it really interesting the other day, especially whilst I was at work, when I was talking to somebody who I work with, who I guess I feel is my experience of what people in one of my videos has said to me. It's like about the whole victim mentality thing, and people will say about how you kind of you look for the struggle to some degree, and it's like you want to be the victim, you want to keep yourself down, this kind of thing. And I think as I've kind of gone through this little journey, I've experienced it more from the other side, if that makes sense. So as I've tried to feel like I'm trying to better myself and trying to work out the mushy bit that's going on between my ears, I've had interactions with people, like I say, at work and stuff, that I've seen what people are saying about that victim mentality. Obviously, I would disagree that that is what I fall into. That's, I think, the defensive characteristic that does that. You want to tell people that no, they're wrong, and you're not falling into that victim mentality, and that you are trying to do something about it. But I think what that might look like to other people and what that might look like to yourself are very different things. Regardless, the person at work, very interesting one. And what I think really annoys me to some degree is, let's say they're suffering with a problem that needs medical intervention. Now in the UK, I don't know what you guys know about the UK medical system. The NHS is brilliant, but it is also very broken. There's a lot of waiting. There's a lot of jumping through hoops. The system is under so much strain that nothing happens quickly. I think that is something that, as British citizens, we know. We are very aware of this. So you take one of the colleagues that I work with, and they have a medical issue, and they go see the doctor about it, and the doctor prescribes them with some medication, and then they come back into work, and it's almost the very next day, this medication doesn't work. I need to go back to the doctors, I need to see the doctors. And they go back to the doctor, and they complain, and they push, and they push, and they push, and they push, and they push. The problem that I have, as somebody who has gone through the system for various different things, I've had 3 surgeries on my shoulder, I've had spinal surgery, just a list of problems. I know things take time. And the problem with, I guess, medicine in general is not necessarily does the first thing always work, but you have to give it time. So this person has gone in, bang, this isn't working, I need more stuff. They get something different, this doesn't work, bang, go again, go again, go again. And after about, let's say, a month of backwards and forwards to the doctors, they get into this position of, what's the point? Going to the doctors, they don't want to listen to me, they don't want to hear anything. I don't have a leg to stand on. This problem is eating into my life. Nobody cares about me, sort of situation. And I find in that situation, I've found myself really struggling for empathy with this person, because the impression that they give is they want this solution to their problem that they're facing, and they want it now. And I get this very weird internal feeling of, why do you feel more important than the entire waiting list of people that's already waiting? Why do you feel that you're more important than all of them. And just listening to them speak of the doctor referred them to specialists, and they'll phone up the specialist, have you had my referral? It's only been a week, and the specialist is like, no, not yet. Like, it's probably come through on emails, but obviously due to the way things are and how overloaded everything is, it's not something I got round to. And every day they phone up, have you had it yet? Can I get in? Can I? It's push, 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 push. As somebody, like I say, who's gone through those systems where you have to wait, it can be 6 to 8 months for an MRI scan. 100% agree, it is less than ideal. But I don't know what people are expecting. Then, of course, it impacts their work, where they then get kind of all, oh, what's the point in this? What's the point in that? And people are suggesting, well, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Well, there's no point. It's not going to make any difference. And that's when that whole victim mentality starts to make sense to me, where it's almost like, this is a medical problem that I have. Nobody wants to help me. I might as well just stay down. Rather than understanding almost like how the system works, how you have to wait your turn, or if people are offering you suggestions, try them. Don't just, well, there's no point to it. And I think that what I've noticed for myself is I found it more and more of a struggle to be around people who have that kind of negative attitude towards things. They have a very naysay kind of vibe, I guess, is the only way I can describe it. I've tried to, where possible, surround myself with people who are more positive. If there's a challenge that they face in life, they don't just want to throw in the towel and give up and be like, what's the point? I want to surround myself with people who, they're faced with a challenge and it's like, okay, it's less than ideal, but let's do it. Let's be positive. Let's move forward. And for the most part, I think I've done okay doing that. But it's the odd time that one or two people suddenly, like myself, have that internal destruction. And as wrong, potentially, or as horrible as it is, I found myself being really unable to deal with people in that situation. It's the empathy for me just goes out the window. It's like I want to turn to them and say, I appreciate that you're struggling with something. And it's almost like selfishly, I guess, I need you to be that positive person that you are. And there's so many double sides to that, because it's almost like saying, I only want to be around people who are positive, and when they're negative, I don't want them around. And to some degree, I have to argue that that is true, but I do feel that it is very much dependent on context to some degree. Everybody has their struggles. Everybody has days or moments where things are just, just a bit too much, and they just want to just have a little bit of a raw moment. This is just frustrating. It's negative. It's, things are just bad. For the most part, when things are positive and they're positive, or they're able to face challenge in a positive mindset, that's what I kind of found myself, I don't know if feeding on it or relying on it, but being influenced by it, being influenced by these people who have these uphill battles, but they're able to face them in a more positive, like, I can manage it kind of way, versus people who are just so destroyed by little things that happen to them, like the wrong this, and it's just like the world has ended, and what can I do? And to some degree, it worries me that it's almost like my empathy can run out for people really quickly, depending on the situations. And I'm not saying it's a good trait at all, but it's almost like, for the first time in a long time, you're starting to understand the people that you want around you and their impact that it has on you. I think that's something that I've taken for granted too long in life, because I've always thought that I was there for other people and the one to drag them through the mud, so to speak. And in the end, what that's done is impacted me, and it's had a real negative twist on myself. When you're putting everybody else before you, you unintentionally, or however it is, you basically tell yourself that you don't matter and that everybody else matters before you. So to find yourself surrounded by people who work with you, encourage you, and show you that sometimes it doesn't matter what the struggles you're having, but struggles can be faced in a way that they don't have to defeat you. I think that's an important kind of person to have around. It just feels that the wall, that barrier of protection, goes up really quick when they become naysayers. And I feel it within when somebody starts crushing down the very internal part of me that is that person, that is that kind of self-destroying talk that goes in your own head and becomes that automatic loop system telling you how negative and bad and horrible and a terrible person you are. I don't want to feel that anymore. So when somebody else is radiating that energy, you just want to throw those walls up and be like, I do not need this right now, and just to try and get away from it. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It's the first time that I can ever really call on where I felt that way, where I felt the need almost to distance myself from a person. I don't like it because I feel that it is wanting to be around the best part of somebody only when they're good. And I don't think that that should be a thing. I think if you wish to be around somebody, if you wish to be around people, you have to take the good with the bad. You have to be able to be around them almost when they need you, not just when you can feed off of, not just when you can feed off of them. So it does become a bit of an internal conflict when you feel that I just want to distance myself from you, and then you also realize that that's not fair. That's not fair or nice. I feel inside that it is the first sign of a little bit of growth, I guess, from me, because it's very actively picking the people or the environments or whatever it might be that I'm around. It's picking the energy that surrounds me and wanting to say no to that negative energy, wanting to say no to like negative people or people who potentially will influence that, like I said, that self replicating or self whatever it is, automatic destruction. Because if somebody starts being negative about themselves, it's easy for it to seep back in and get on top of you and bring you down too. So if you remove somebody else from being like that, you only have yourself to deal with. And if you've got positive influences all around you, it's a lot harder. Doesn't stop, don't get me wrong, but it's a lot harder to try and bring yourself down when there's positive growth around you that's just trying to keep you moving forwards and bring you up and almost help you see how you can deal with problems rather than being defeated by them, if that makes sense. I don't know. I've just found it to be very impactful because it's something that like it does hit me like a rock. Somebody will start to go off and internally I'm just like, I do not need to be around this sort of thing. And that sounds terrible, but it's the truth. I just thought I'd drop a little update. Hopefully with November coming through, I'll try and get into a little bit more, but we'll see. Anyway, wanted to say thank you very much for watching, stick around, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it. Hope to see you again next time. You take it easy, guys. Bye for now. Bye, everybody.